Good afternoon and greetings from UB. Welcome to our Alumni Webinar Wednesday series, a special edition on Thursday. On behalf of the Office of Alumni Engagement and the UB School of Management, we are so delighted you are able to join us for today's presentation. I have to say you all are in for a treat. It's going to be great. My name is Christy Fields and I oversee the Alumni Careers and Lifelong Learning Program here at UB. It's a very exciting time on campus as the class of 2022 moved in last week. Classes have officially started and our men's and women's fall sports season is underway. It's hard to believe another semester is upon us. Today, I am honored to welcome and introduce you to Dr. Dorothy Sia Asamoah. Dr. Sia Asamoah is a UB alumna, clinical assistant professor for organization and human resources, and faculty director of global programs with the UB School of Management. In today's webinar, we hope to share some of the great work taking place in the UB School of Management. You will learn why the UB School of Management provides short-term faculty-led global experiences that complement other traditional study trips that aren't always accessible for busy students. These new opportunities will explore different topics surrounding social innovation, entrepreneurial leadership, culture, and economic development in different parts of the world, such as Africa, Asia, Europe, South America, and more. When we expose students, faculty, and alumni to new cultures, we continue to hone their global mindset and empower them to thrive in the global economy. You will also have the exciting and special opportunity to hear from two students, Ruben and Danielle, who have recently traveled on some of these UB-led global trips. If you have any questions during the presentation, please submit them in the question box on the GoToWebinar control panel, and please ask as many questions as you would like for our students and Dr. Sia Asamoah. We have also uploaded two articles for you to read, one about gaining global perspective in Ghana, and one about the new UB School of Management's Leadership Center that just recently opened in Ghana, Africa. You will find these articles in the handout section of your GoToWebinar control panel. With that said, it's my pleasure to turn it over to Dr. Sia Asamoah, Ruben, and Danielle.
Thank you, Christy, and hello, everyone. My name is Dorothy. It is such a pleasure to meet you all electronically and by phone. Well, at this moment, I would like to introduce to you two students who are helping me today to share all the wonderful experiences that we have for School of Management students. Ruben, Danielle.
Hi everyone, my name is Ruben Okana. I'm a business administration major, I'm a senior, and I'm dual concentrating in marketing as well as management information systems.
And hello everyone, my name is Danielle Vasquez. I'm a dual master's in business administration, master's in public health, and concentrating in healthcare administration.
Thank you, Ruben and Danielle. And in my role as the faculty director of global programs for School of Management students, I am also assisted by Kara Lanuti, who helps me with all things global. And we look forward to seeing you at a trip very soon. Okay, just like Christy said, we still have the traditional opportunities available to all UB students. But the School of Management is one of the few schools that are focusing on providing unique, personalized experiences for our students. And these offerings come in different formats. So we have the short-term programs ranging from 3 to 10 days or up to 2 weeks. We have the medium-term programs ranging between 3 to 10 weeks. And all these programs are faculty-led. They are led by a School of Management faculty who is interested in the field or has research interest in different ways and forms. They come in different offerings of ranges such as 1 credit up to three credits depending on the needs of the students. These opportunities are also available throughout the year. So in the fall, summer, spring, and winter. So this slide here shows you pictures of recent opportunities the student took advantage of. I will start from the top left corner. That is a picture of students who recently went to Costa Rica during spring break. It was very cold in Buffalo, so we said, let's go to Costa Rica. And you see a picture of Ruben and some of his peers as we spent a week, 8 days in Costa Rica Ruben loved it so much that he decided to return for a full summer experience, and I'll let him share that later on. To your top right is a picture of students, MBA students who are in China during winter 2018. They had such a phenomenal experience. In addition, there are two pictures at the bottom left is a picture of MBA students who are in Europe during spring break, and your bottom right is a picture of students who are in Ghana with other Ghanaian students who are currently enrolled in our leadership development program that we started about a year ago with MBA students in the University of Cape Coast. Again, this is an example of a trip that Danielle participated in, and she will share her experience with you. So, Ruben, over to you.
So before we get into the pictures, as Dr. Siasamoah mentioned, I went to Costa Rica during spring break. How I found out about it was actually through Dr. Siasamoah. She came to my MGG 298 class, which is Career Connections. It's a sophomore-only class for students who are just transitioning into the business administration program. And I was shy before, never thought about studying abroad. And just the way she presented the material, it was so interesting. So I went up to her after class and just asked her, can you please elaborate more about the program, or is there a time we could talk about this? She told me to send her an email. We eventually set up an appointment, and fast forward next semester, because her presentation was in the fall semester, I was in Costa Rica. So what we did in Costa Rica, I think, was wonderful, and it is the reason why I decided to go back for the summer. But the program was set up in a way where in the mornings we would visit large companies, and in the afternoons we'd get a little taste of Costa Rican culture and go to site visits or tour around the city, and it was just very wonderful. So one of the places we went to, which was actually the first place we went to, was called Copa Delta, and it was a large coffee corporation where their goal was to be completely carbon neutral in coffee. It was very interesting to see because everything they were doing was extremely sustainable. They would, instead of burning wood, they would actually burn some of coffee cherry. It was very interesting stuff. They showed us their entire process. They let us do some things as well. It was an awesome experience, really cool. And then at the end, they gave us all coffee, which tasted amazing. The next few days, we went to other large companies such as Cargill, which as many people know, it's really one of the biggest meat exporters in the world. They gave us a very nice presentation about what they do, about how many countries they supply to. It was really fascinating that such a large company would be in Costa Rica. But then it all made more sense once we visited Cinde. And what Cinde was basically they're the company that sees which outside companies come into Costa Rica, and they bring them to free trade zones. So if a company comes in and invests, let's say, $100 million, they don't have to pay taxes. So Amazon did this, Intel did this, Deloitte did this, 3M, and there's so many more companies that are actually in Costa Rica, and that's just something very fascinating because one would think in a small Central American country, these large companies wouldn't be there, but there's a lot of them there, and they are actually really thriving. We also visited so many more local Costa Rican businesses, such as Carao Ventures, which is a venture capitalist company. They actually were starting out themselves. I think they've been only there for business for about 5 years, and it was really nice to see how many people they were actually helping out with funding. And we also went to something called Fundación Mujer, which actually translates to the Foundation of Women. And what they do is they give out microloans to women who are recently laid off, can't find a job, and now more importantly, which I think is really cool, they help women who recently are released from jail to kind of get a head start at their lives. And the coolest thing, in my opinion, that we did was we visited an actual university in Costa Rica called Earth University, and it really showed the difference in culture that we have in the education system in the United States as well as Costa Rica. One of the nicest things about this whole trip was that we had people to talk to. We had people to experience the culture shock with. There was 19 other students besides myself and 3 MBAs that we learned to really pick each other's brain, learn a little more about each other, and get comfortable with each other. It was a really nice experience. We all helped each other out, and also it was very nice talking about our host families because something that we did do during spring break and I also did during the summer was we stayed with a host family. host families was very interesting. Some of them spoke English, or some of them didn't speak English at all. It was very interesting to see some students saying, well, I don't know how to communicate with my host mom. We're just kind of assigned to each other. We have to figure it out. So it was very nice to see how we were all in a new environment. We were facing new challenges, but we were all backing each other up, and we were able to make it through all of it. So I liked it so much that when I came back to UB, Dr. Siao Samoa and Dr. Trevor Poag asked me if I would be interested in a summer internship. And I definitely was. I got a taste a little bit of international business in Costa Rica, a little bit of difference in cultures, and I just wanted to learn a little bit more. So I went to Costa Rica this summer for 10 weeks. The program they set up was very, very effective. First 3 weeks, I actually took Spanish courses to get my Spanish. I am a native speaker of Spanish. However, I'm not a Spanish speaker on a professional level. So the first 3 weeks, I actually took Spanish courses, which really helped someone to speak on a professional level, like let's say in negotiations or conducting business. That was very, very helpful. So first 3 weeks we did that, and then 6 weeks I went straight to the internship. The internship was in rural Costa Rica with a different host family, and I actually was in the financial sector of a small coffee corporation, and they also had fruits and vegetables they sold, but small coffee corporation called Asoproa. And I shadowed and lived actually directly with the president of the company. Very different experience because when you're in the United States, when you think of a president of a company, the last thing that would come up to your head was that he is a farmer part-time for fun. So that was different, definitely shows a difference in cultures. In Asoproa, what we would do, we dealt with micro loans, which is very cool. They taught me a little bit about what they do, how they do it. They partner with banks, and they also partner with a foundation from Canada, which is very interesting. And we also do the sale of coffee. It was very cool when the president walked up to me and said, okay, I'm going to teach you how to make coffee. And if you guys see the two pictures up there, that's actually me getting 20 kilograms of coffee. I don't know how to convert them to pounds, so please excuse me. 20 kilograms of coffee, roasting, doing the whole process all on my own, him just talking behind saying, just check on this, check on that, turning on all the machinery, and in the end, it was a good batch, so we were able to grind all of it, we were able to package all of it, and eventually sell and export it, because this company not only sold locally in Costa Rica, but they also exported to, one of their biggest markets is in Korea. They do sell to the United States, Canada, and Europe as well. And then, like I mentioned, part-time for fun, difference in culture. He was a farmer, and he would take me out to do things. There you have a picture of me milking a cow. One day we decided to build a little farm ourselves. It was just very different, a very unique experience, I would say. It was amazing, and it probably wouldn't have been possible without the help of the School of Management. The Stewart Scholarship deadline passed when I came back from Costa Rica, and since I didn't apply for the year, Dr. Cia Samoa tried her best to talk to them, and they were really able to help me out. I was able to submit an application, and they were able to fund me a bit. And it was really nice as well that I received the Dean Scholarship, which helped me fund the flight to Costa Rica as well as back. It was overall just an amazing experience, and if I was to say that I took anything out of it, it really would be adaptability. Like, when you're in a new situation, you don't know what life's going to throw at you, so I feel like this experience really put me in a place where I've never been before. I lived in a rural community, lived on a farm. That was very different, but I also worked in a large company, it was just such a transition every day that was very unique and very challenging, but I made it through it. And also overall being independent, being alone for 10 weeks really helps a person mature. So overall, I'm just very grateful to this whole program. It started off as an idea in a class, and it ended up being an internship, and I have no regrets for this, and I'm just so glad I was able to be a part of it.
Thank you, Ruben. Danielle.
Hi, everyone, again. My name is Danielle, and I was a part of the Ghana January 2018 trip. Okay, so the Ghana trip kind of started out as an idea during my first year of MBA school. I overheard Professor Siwa Asamoah talking about the Ghana trip, and I really wanted to be a part of it. I've never been to Africa before, but I have ancestors from there, and I wanted to learn more about it. So she graciously agreed for me to be a program assistant. And throughout my first year of MBA school, we started organizing and recruiting people for the trip. The trip ended up being roughly about 25 students ranging from all different disciplines. We had undergraduate team, we had a medical team, and we had a graduate team of MBA students. The graduate team of MBA students got to be mentors for the undergraduate students, where the undergraduate students got to conduct market interviews of different business women and men in different vending and food industry businesses. So we got to go into these markets and interview these amazing entrepreneurs on how they make income and provide for their families daily by selling their produce, by selling their arts and crafts, or by selling anything that they desire. And it was truly an amazing experience. They are truly entrepreneurs and CEOs of their own lives. The undergraduate students got to tour different nonprofits and different startups, one of them being the largest waste management company in the country, which is called Zoomlion. So we got to tour the facility, and we got to learn their best practices on creating a more sustainable Ghana. We also got to visit a kind of an agricultural food lab where the owner and the CEO got to give us a tour, and he taught us best practices on how they educate younger students how to grow their own crops so they can provide for their families back at home. The medical team had a unique experience where they got to go to an island off the coast of Ghana called Hope Island. This island is very medically underserved, and they needed clinical help. So we sent approximately a team of 15 medical students ranging from all different disciplines to this island where they provided free medical care for this community. And it was an amazing experience for them. The management students got to go to, other than mentoring the undergraduates and touring the different nonprofits and startups, we got to visit the U.S. Embassy and actually got to present to students at the U.S. Embassy, where we taught them about the MBA program here at UB. Any questions they had in graduate school, we got to assist them, and we actually got to exchange business cards and contact information, and I'm actually still in contact with some of them today. We also got to present at the University of Cape Coast, which is an affiliate of UB, and we got to present to them about management best practices and leadership best practices because they are also MBA students, so making that personal connection with other MBA students from different countries, that was extremely special to me, and they actually came back in May to the United States where they got to join a couple classes with us and learn some statistics, some accounting, and other classes. This wouldn't be possible without the financial help that I received from the School of Management through a generous donation, as well as we got to, I also was a Western New York Prosperity Fellow, and I was fully funded by that fellowship as well. And another side note, throughout the Ghana trip, we also experienced some really fun activities. We got to go on a canopy walk throughout the rainforest of Ghana, and while that might sound daunting to some people, we were all together as a team, and we got to walk about 120 feet up above the roof of the canopy and see the amazing nature that Ghana had to offer. We also visited the slave castles in the Cape Coast of Ghana, and that was a really eye-opening experience, seeing how the United States connected to Ghana through the transatlantic slave trade and learning all about the horrors but also the economic prosperity that the United States benefited from having the slave castles there in Ghana, Africa. My personal impact on this program was that I got to interact with different disciplines from throughout the university, whether it be a medical student or an accounting student or a business student. We all got to see each other's strengths, weaknesses. We all got to learn from others. I took that personally because now I use those best practices I learned in Ghana from them into the business world that I'm associated with now. And also just learning from a completely different culture. I took away so many positive vibes when I was in Ghana from the beautiful people that were there. They were extremely welcoming, and I'm going back this January, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Thank you both. So, this is where I share with you our upcoming opportunities for 2018 to 2019 academic year. So the fall of 2018, which is right here, we have experienced what we're calling Experience the 50. And the idea here is to expose the different cities and places in the United States to, yes, international students as well as domestic students. So for now, we have a trip scheduled for DC for all Masters in Finance students, which will be aligned with our Boldly Buffalo event in DC in October. So the alumni will not be there by themselves, but we'll send students along to share the experiences on campus and engage with alumni from around the DC area. We also have another one scheduled for Chicago in October, where we are hoping to have our MBA, specifically our leader course students, to participate and be able to apply all that they're learning in the class in terms of different ways of leading in different industries, leading with different competencies, and then just engage with our alumni and share again their prospects for what they're looking forward to doing once they get to the world of work. And then there is a fun experience that we're looking forward to rolling out this year for the first time to Disney, where students from both undergraduate and graduate programs will participate in a 6 to 8 day trip to Disney to understand the business of Disney. Again, we have alumni who have offered to provide talk and sessions and dinner for our students. So those three are the experiences 50 plans that we have for the fall of 2018. And then moving on to winter 2019, we are going back to Ghana under the umbrella of social innovation and entrepreneurial leadership. We currently have 30 students, faculty, and staff signed up to go. This will be similar to what Danielle shared. It will be a medical and a non-medical, so working with other schools across campus, Jacobs School of Medicine, School of Pharmacy, School of Nursing, UB Libraries, Center for Leadership and Organizational Effectiveness, and UB School of Management. And the idea here is to continue to have this engaging across-disciplinary exposures for our students to work with each other as well as applying it in the global village. At the same time, we'll have another China trip for our MBA students, and we currently have 20 students signed up to go, led by faculty. We're also trying something new this winter where we have plans to take students, undergraduate and graduate, to Silicon Valley for a 8-day experience. Our hope is to roll this out next 2020, where we will have a trip to India. For spring 2019, we already have two arrangements for students. We have our undergraduate students who will repeat similar to what Rubin experienced last spring. And then we'll have MBA students working on different projects while they're in Costa Rica, so that while it's cold here and the winter is really, really cold, we will be in Costa Rica to learn and to engage with alumni. And then at the end of the semester, middle of May to the end of May, before they start their internships, we have opportunities for students. Undergraduates will be in Portugal and Spain, and then our graduate students will be in Belgium and Hungary. And so this is a lineup of what we planned for now for 2018 to 2019 academic year. And yes, we will provide opportunities for students who are interested in expanding their experience over spring break to return to Costa Rica in the summer. Last summer, we had a group of healthcare students who were in Costa Rica for a month to be able to apply their healthcare knowledge here and compare that to what is happening in Costa Rica and learn from it, and they had a great experience. And we hope to repeat that next summer. And so based on what I just shared, our goal is by the next academic year, we would have touched on these different continents. I'm hoping that someday we will touch everywhere, but for now, this is where we are, and looking forward to expanding it. And then there is the major cities that we'll be visiting this fall. So as you can see, by winter, we would have touched on these few cities. Again, the hope is to populate all the different cities by the next time we have this conversation. So what can you do? Well, I am ready and willing to share with anyone who will listen. You are welcome to join us on any of these trips. And if you are not able to, please, you're welcome to contribute to sponsor a student. I will take it any day, any time, and it will be of tremendous benefit to our students and to the experience that they have. So if you have questions, please send me an email and give me a call, and we can chat by phone or communicate via email. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Sia Asmoa, and also thank you to Ruben and Danielle. Love your stories. Very impactful. I know, Dr. Sia Asmoa, you just mentioned that alumni can participate on the trips, and a question did come through from one of our attendees asking how they can get more involved and attend these trips and even participate in the programs. So what steps would they have to take in order to participate in one of the programs or trips being offered?
Wonderful, thank you. First of all, depending on the trips, if it's a domestic trip, that's even easier. But if it's an international trip, the first thing is to make sure your passport is valid for the next 10 years. Because once you go once, you will go again, I assure you. And the next thing is to send me an email, and we can schedule a phone call. If you're abroad, we'll make a phone call. If you're local, we can meet and chat about it, because we are filling up for the Ghana trip, and we will have others as we proceed. Thank you.
Excellent. And also, too, just to kind of expand on that a little further, if alumni wanted to host you all in cities or countries, I know when you mentioned there are some alumni hosts when you were going to Disney in the Orlando area, how should alumni reach out to you or get involved, and what are some of the things they can do if they want to host you in one of the cities?
That is a great question. I would suggest that you contact Cynthia's unit in School of Management Alumni Office. Cynthia will help us with that, and her team will help us with that. But certainly reach out to me, and I'll be able to direct you as well. And one of the things that they can do is, students always love free dinners, that's for sure. So lunch, dinner, company visit, just having a roundtable conversation, any and all are welcome. So thank you for that question as well.
Excellent. And Dr. Sia Asmoa, do you have any highlights from your trips? I know both Ruben and Danielle really shared what was so impactful for them when they traveled to Costa Rica or Ghana. Do you have any impactful stories or highlights that you have from your travels and your trips as well?
Yeah, Christine, thank you for asking. But do we have all day? Because the highlights are so many, we'll need a whole day to share. But I'll just share a few. One of the things that I have been privileged to see is the aha moment once they land. So for example, I'll pick Ghana. Now, I am originally from Ghana, but I've lived here for so many years. But whenever I take students to Ghana and I see the first look on their face as we land at the airport, okay, and then I compare it to their faces when they're leaving the country, it's just amazing, because they come in no expectations, which is great. I make sure that they know that you just have to be flexible, adaptable, and teachable, because we are not going on a white horse to save the world. We're going to engage to learn and also to serve. And once we get there, just seeing that look on their faces, even Danielle, seeing that look on her face from the airport, and then when she was ready to leave, it's just enough to tell me I have the best job in the world. Number two, some of the experiences, there is no amount of preparation that I can give them, right? So we have class sessions before we go on these trips, and I do my best to share the best I can. But once they get there, so I'll give you a simple example. There was an opportunity where the MBA students had to go to the market with undergraduate students in Ghana and to interview maybe 1,000 women selling the same product in the same area. And first of all, for students to see that there seems to be a structure even when you don't see it. And why two people are selling tomatoes, but they are just having a conversation. There is no conflict or there is no strife until we interview the queen mother of the area, of the market women, and she explains to us the many levels of structure that we wouldn't know. They know whose turn it is to sell, whose turn it is to direct you to the next person, and they have a system that we will have no clue until we interview them. That's another experience. Another experience is when we were invited by a friend of the school to come have dinner, okay? And we enter a home. Now, mind you, before we make this trip, we're traveling for maybe an hour and we see different things along the way and we are wondering, why is it this way here and why is it that way there? And then you enter a whole mansion, and any home you can imagine in the US may be similar to this. And I guess my point is seeing all the facets of this poverty, there's a lot of need, but there's also a lot of wealth, and understanding that different systems have different ways of expressing themselves, and having students have these difficult but important conversations. That's another experience. And then the trip to the slave castle. That is an important facet of the history of Ghana. And because of the location, we have all these slave castles from years that some I don't in the 1800s that are still there, and to tell the story about how the slaves were transported from the northern part of Africa and they were packed in all those rooms and all that. But more importantly, understanding the roles that different parts of society played. Not only the fact that they were selling, but there was also the economic benefit, right? But it was for both sides. It wasn't only one group of people who were gaining. It was our own people selling our own people. So it is very complicated. It is not simply black and white. And again, turning to the students and hearing the way they are dissecting the whole complexity of the slave trade. And then one more is then taking them to the palace where they get to see our system of government before the what we've come to know. We still have lots of chiefs in all different parts of the country, and chiefs are opinion leaders. When you need to disseminate information in a particular area, you need to be buddies with the chief, because if you don't do that, it doesn't go anywhere. And so for them to be able to sit with the chief and to discuss how our systems of the way we live our lives, the way we even have our naming ceremonies, our funeral ceremonies, our marriage ceremonies, and to have students participate in it. And above all, is to see how UB students behave abroad. I have to say, as an alum through and through, I couldn't be prouder of the group of students that I took with me, both to Costa Rica and to Africa. They made us proud, and you should feel proud of being an alum.
Dr. Siasmo, I could listen to your story all day, so thank you so much for sharing that. Another question that did come in from one of our attendees, it kind of goes back to our alumni participation on these trips. Are these trips also open to friends of UB in addition to students and alumni and staff?
That's a very good question. And that's something that I would say we could talk offline. Because obviously, if we have an alumni, depending on the number of people who are interested, we will have to make arrangements. But that is not to say a no. It means we can talk offline.
Excellent. And then Ruben and Danielle, with your experiences going to both Costa Rica and Ghana, has your time in these countries, has it really impacted maybe the work that you would like to go into or the career that you'd like to explore because of these experiences that you've had firsthand?
Ruben.
So, since I was directly shadowing or interning with the president of a company, I really got to learn about their company culture. And the most fascinating aspect of that to me was how open their communication was. In the United States, we usually have a 9 to 5 workers come in, employees coming, and then the cleaning crew comes in after, or sometimes they're there before. And over there, the cleaning crew actually worked at the same time as the employees and the president, the manager, all of us worked. And they really were integrated in, whenever they'd have lunch together, they'd all have lunch together. Whenever there was coffee breaks, they'd all have it together. It was just very fascinating to see the level of mutual respect and really the blindness to hierarchy that they had. They really did not mind whose status in the company was. They'd all joke around. It was really a very effective way of communication, and just like the company culture was just fascinating. So I actually was always interested in going for an MBA. So I feel like this also opens up my perspective. I do get my MBA and I am in a managerial position. I would want to be the type of manager where strict in some ways, but really would want that open communication, that constant comfort in the company, which is what I was able to experience. I was able to see no one ever be too shy or shy away from expressing either their opinions or expressing certain concerns. It was very open flow, very, very helpful. I thought it was extremely effective, and if I was to take something in terms of for the future of my career, I really think I'd want a similar managerial style, because communication is the key to everything, in my opinion.
Yeah, and on my end, I would say just seeing how some of the schools in rural Ghana didn't have the resources that we had back in the U.S., it actually stimulated a business idea that I pursued and actually won a competition here at UB, which I then went on to an international competition. And it was basically a startup idea creating a menstrual health curriculum for adolescent women in developing countries. So that experience in Ghana, Africa, and seeing the lack of resources that some of the schools had helped me create a business idea that can be implemented in schools such as Hosi Kids that we visited in Ghana. So I'm extremely grateful for that.
Fantastic. Thank you both for sharing your story. This next question that has come through, Dr. Sia Asmoa, do you have the approximate cost that it takes for a student, an undergraduate student or MBA student, to travel to Ghana?
Yes, I do. And I can say that it would cost at least ballpark between 5,000 and 6,000 per student. And this would allow the student to have 3 credits as well as pay for his flight, transportation, meals, and anything that is connected to the whole experience for winter.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And those are all the questions that have come through, but I do want to let you know that Dr. Sia Asmoa left her email address and Kara's email address as well. So if you are interested in learning more, if you're interested in traveling or participating on these trips, or you are interested in the program as a whole, you can't travel but would like to help sponsor a student, feel free to reach out to Dr. Sia Asmoa and contact her at her email address that she has listed. So on behalf of the Office of Alumni Engagement and the UB School of Management, I really would just like to thank once again Dr. Dorothy Sia Asmoa, Ruben, and Danielle for all giving their time to us today, sharing their knowledge and their expertise. We have recorded this webinar, and we will send the link within the next 24 hours. And then also, save the date. We have our next webinar scheduled for Wednesday, September 12th. We will be joined by a UB alumna, Brooke Cianfici, and she will explain how an EB5 regional center works to identify both real estate investment opportunities that create jobs and investors for those real estate opportunities who seek U.S. permanent residency. So registration is open, and additional information will be coming very soon. So thank you again, Dorothy, thank you again, Ruben and Danielle, and thank you all for joining us today. We hope you enjoy the rest of your day and enjoy the upcoming Labor Day weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Bye.